Hello, welcome to Triumph Ministries. My name is Ramona Long, and I'm with my co-hosts, Jerry and Denise. And our subject for today is, Can We Talk? Breaking the Silence. And we're going to start that off with Sherry Watts.
Awesome. We have, the good thing about being friends is we sit and talk about it and we discuss things that we're thinking, our people we need to know, people will need to know and that don't want to talk about it. And one of the things I've noticed is that mental illness, it seems like a taboo.
Yes.
Not only with our culture, I thought it was just a cultural thing, you don't talk about it. Remember I told you another show about the nerve pills. But it's basically across the board that most people don't want to talk about mental illness. And I was looking at some statistics and it says it's just a medical problem that most people won't say anything about, but it's just as common as heart disease and it's more common than diabetes.
Yes.
And it's so common that people are going to, I think in another show we talked about how the mentally ill would go and get treatment and then just put back out on the street without actually, they get pills. But treatment is so much more involved than just getting pills. One thing I noticed in my research is that 50% of mental illness begins at age 14.
Oh, God.
That's what got my attention. I had one student in my class that he just said, I'm just messed up in the head.
Ooh,
I'm like, who just said, and he's 14. And that was before I read this, because one day he was sitting in his chair and he just decided he's going to fall on the floor out of his chair. And we don't have carpet. That's all I'm going to say on that. I'm in an old school building, there is no carpet. So it went ka-thunk, and I looked, and I told him, you're going to get up today. And I know it sounds insensitive, but because I knew his history, and he just said, and of course he didn't say, I'm just messed up in the head. You all can imagine how colorful his words were. But the point is, he says, Miss Watts, sometimes I see people talking, but I'm so numb that I cannot hear what they're saying. Can you imagine being 14? Life is so stressful that you no longer hear voices of people. You just feel as though you're walking. So one of the things I want to talk about first is, what is mental health? Mental health, and this is going to be funny, it's so generic, but the definition of mental health is being able to deal with society and the problems of society without losing your mind. Being able to
We all should have problems.
Being able to deal with the natural occurrences in society without being overwhelmed. And how many times have you heard that word, overwhelmed?
God. Here recently I've heard that word, overwhelmed, so much because we are bombarded by just, our senses are just bombarded. We got the bills, we got the kids, we got the jobs, we got situations at home, and we're all trying to deal with this. So how do we put all this in perspective?
And see, that's what we were talking about. And just thinking 14, you have, and people blow off that STARS test. They say it's no big deal, but unless you're in a classroom with 14-year-olds, and I think that's the right age, 13, 14-year-olds is 8th graders.
Yes.
And it's saying that if you don't pass this one thing, you've been in school for 8 long years, and some of them started pre-K, but if you don't pass this one thing, you don't get the chance to advance to high school. That's extra stress. Then you have stress at home. He was stressed out because he bought this girl a beautiful necklace that I know it sounds like I'm playing it down.
But that was important to him.
She had been saying that she wanted a necklace with her name on it. He bought the necklace, and because she's 14 too and hormonal and everything, she took the necklace and broke it to pieces.
Ooh.
Normal kids were like, they would say words or whatever, but because he was already on the edge.
Right.
He was already on the edge. And I said, don't push me because I'm close to the edge. But he was already on the edge, so that just set him off.
Did he hit her?
No. That's why we were grateful. But that's when he fell out of the chair and fell up on it, just got up on the desk. One kid said, can I go over and help him? I said, I thought because my room is kind of big, and where he sits, I didn't have clear peripheral. And I was like, I said, did he leave the room? She says, no, Miss Watts, he's under the desk now.
Because that was his quiet place. That was his refuge. And that was the only place he knew how to deal with it.
Right.
Okay, because he would have hit her had he not been able to do that. So I thank God that your room was safe enough for him to do that, because I have them breaking windows.
Oh, wow.
Okay, they break windows.
Yes.
Because the problem, what we don't realize, the stress is going to come out.
It's
like a powder keg. It's going to explode. You're not going to just keep. So at some point in time, you're either going to get it out over here, but the point is, it's got to come out.
Right. And see, that's when we see mental illness and most of the atrocities we see in schools.
Yes.
The shootings.
Yes.
People just sitting in a hotel room and decide to shoot down at people that are in a crowd, in the clubs. Every time, and I watch the news, and I'm thinking, watch they come out and say they were mentally ill. And a day later, it was because they had mental illness. Only their family recognized it, but they could not get help. One woman, I forgot which were the incidents, she said she had tried to get help for her kid. And there would be, no one would help her because they're thinking those are just teenage angst, or they're just acting like teenagers. They're just hormonal. They're just moody. But you know that there's something not right.
Now, do they put these kids on medicine?
If the silence is broken. That's embarrassing in America nowadays to say, you know what, my kid is so broken, his head is not right. Because what a parent is thinking is, I must didn't do something right.
But it's not even about you. And you're right, because when you tell parents, I can call up and say, your child's not feeling well today. He may have a cold. You don't have a problem with that. But if I call up and say, I'm noticing some behaviors, well, I don't know why you're telling me that, because you think it's a reflection on you. It's nothing you did.
It's not. And so
it's not a reflection
and
on
if
you.
you're one that's suffering, and so many are suffering in quiet until they blow, and then we know, oh God, they've been suffering. We can look back and say, you know what? I saw this here. They did this or they did that. They've been acting a little antsy after they've blown. But the point is, you're suffering in silence because you don't want anybody to know that your head is not acting the way it's supposed to act, or you're thinking things you shouldn't. But
even if we notice it, Sherry, because I was talking to Mona on the way here, grief is tough.
Yeah.
Okay, it's tough. But if you, and if everybody comes to the funeral, you go home, and everybody's okay. But it's later on when you get to, you need help. But it's like, well, you should be all right. But it takes steps to walk that through. And if you really don't, you start stuffing it down. You start stuffing it down. Why do we do that?
And when you say that, I'm thinking, a lot of times we say mental illness, we're thinking someone that's schizophrenic or bipolar. But the number one mental illness is stress.
Stress and anxiety.
And anxiety.
Yes.
Well, where's all that coming from?
Life tells you you're supposed to look like this, or you're supposed to be this, and by the time you get this age, you're supposed to have this, and if you don't have this, or your kid's supposed to go to this school, they're supposed to live in this neighborhood, and it's just stress, and you get tired, and you say, forget this, and that's when you act out.
You suffer a loss, and you know God's gonna get you through it. But right now, I can't call that person. That's stressful.
That's stressful.
I can't talk to that person anymore. Okay, the void that person used to, whatever that person used to do in my life, that's not there anymore. So it's going to take me a few minutes to rewind because I got to figure out a way to do this. Stress.
But there's there's something, okay, in other words, you have a classroom full of people and one child is like that. Is there something that might be hormonally?
Yes, absolutely. With him, it is. It's definitely an imbalance.
Yes.
It's a hormone imbalance, and it's a boom. I would say, Magula Mangata. What is the big? Waterboard says. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist nor am I a medical profession, but I thought that was so funny when he said that. But actually, it is. It's a medical. Sometimes it's medical. A lot of times it's medical, and it's an imbalance, and it can actually be solved by acknowledging first there is an issue.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk about those warning signs later, but acknowledging first that there's an issue, and especially if they're in the church. The church, we don't want to deal with mental illness.
Yes, because we just need to realize, and it's not like the Lord is going to take you through. He is. But the Lord gave us
physicians.
He gave us physicians to help us. But we will not ask for help.
We will not
because
we don't want to. Well, I seem like I'm not a good Christian if my brain is not acting right. Just speaking up and saying I need help shows that I'm in line with what God is telling me today. I'm in line with saying, look, this isn't right. Even Paul kept crying out and saying, Lord, can you move this stone? Can you move this from my flesh? Can you move this thorn? Can you do something? And if you look at it, and we looked at how, who's that, Elijah got depressed, that's mental illness.
But I don't understand how, when you can pray and you cry out to the Lord, Lord, help me, The help is he's sending you to somebody.
Sending
So
you
why
some
is it
help.
we won't accept that? You know, we won't think that's the help he sent. Why do we have to think something miraculous is going to help us? When we crying out to the Lord, he does hear our cries. But that's the way he helps.
He helps. He has so many ways. But the thing is, when we crying out, we don't cry out just for help, but we cry out for this is the way help should come. And if help doesn't come the way I said it's supposed to come, then it must not be help. That's from the devil. But we see here, according to the American Psychiatric Association, that there are signs that we can look for when people are having mental crisis. That's what they call it, mental crisis. And it's one thing is the first thing is a change in personality. Don't just blame it on the fact that they are they're just moody. We quick to say people just moody. They just have an attitude. They just have a bad attitude. There is something that if I'm consistently in a mood, because I love to talk. I love my kids. As you see, I'm passionate about what I do and my kids. Because I asked one parent, she came, dropped her kid off and brought her in the classroom. I said, can I speak to you? I spoke to her outside the classroom. I said, what? I said, she's sad all the time. She's depressed all the time. And the parent was like, looking like I'm like, come on now.
But that was normal.
That's Linus. You brought Linus in the room and you didn't notice Linus was depressed? Everybody can see Linus is depressed. But I'm not making light of it, but her thing is what had happened is in the past. She said, I don't know why she's still depressed. From that, I was thinking maybe she's just waiting on the other shoe to fall. She doesn't know how. She's been in this space so long. This is what I'm saying. If you know somebody has been in this space a long time, longer than normal, you need to speak up and ask them. And of course, they're going to say, I'm fine. Come on, your eyes work. And then it's another thing it says they have social withdrawal and isolation. They don't want to be around nobody anymore. They want to just be to themselves. And a lot of times that mental illness gets worse when you're by yourself because you have nobody to talk to.
Well, the voices in your head start talking to you.
Boy, they get louder.
They get louder and louder and louder, and they start telling you what you can't do and what you should do. And if you don't have somebody, a circle of friends that you can call on, that's when they overcome.
Right.
So do these kids continue to go to, in other words, what happens to them? I mean,
well, if it's a kid, if we can get the parent on board, we have, you heard me say if, I'm Tarrant County, so our kids will go to what we call Sundance, and that's a mental hospital, it's inpatient, outpatient. Or they can just go see their own physician who will send them to I know some kids that go see a psychiatrist every month, and it is really, really, really help. But this goes for adults too. Adults need to get help. If you are, especially women, we don't have time. We say we don't have time, but we don't want to admit that there's something not right. Remember, I had that incident the other day, and people were surprised. You went to a counselor? Yes, because my head wasn't in the right space. So that's what brought the mental illness. As strong as I am, and I'm strong in my faith, and I know what God says I am, and my mind is pretty sharp. But that incident made me want to act a different way than I normally want to act. I had to go sit and talk to somebody. And she was like, after the second visit, she said, okay, I conclude that you are human. But my mind was doing some stuff. The thing is, we're going to have to be honest with ourselves when things aren't right. And that's what I really want people to take from the show.
But my thing is right now, if you're in a situation and how can I put this? Nobody can tell you that you're overwhelmed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
But I guess because I have so many friends that tell me it's just too much going on. And I'm hearing you're becoming overwhelmed.
Right.
But when is it that person comes to know that whatever the situation you're in, it's becoming a little bit too much for us. I don't really know how to put it. I may not be saying it right, but I'm hearing a lot of people, I'm hearing all this, and a normal person, 2 or 3 people, wouldn't be able to stand up under this load. But you're steady telling me it's so much going on. And I'm steady telling you you're taking on too much. But when do you come to the point where you realize?
Unfortunately, only when you snap.
And that's too late.
But only when you snap. And when you snap, that's when you become uncharacteristic. You do things that you normally would not do. You say stuff you normally would not say. And the thing about that is you can't take that stuff back. Whereas people, I know in my life, people would point out, I tell y'all my MRI story all the time. That MRI, that got this head right. Look, if I even think I'm getting too much, I'm going to sleep. I just sit there and go to sleep. That thing scared me. A lot of people are like, why did it bother you so much? That was over 15 years ago, and it still bothers me when I think about it. Because,
why is that?
Because it's like being buried alive. And then they had the nerve to tell you to be still. Be still, and then you hear this click, click. When I had Fallon the other day, it took me a week, and I knew I had a concussion. I knew without a shadow of a doubt I had a concussion. But it took me a week, and Mama talking about, baby, go check and make sure your head's all right, because I was still having real bad headaches. That's the only reason I went.
Physician, hear yourself.
Look, because I knew they were going to put my big head in that little machine.
Oh, Lord.
And the man was saying, ma'am, it's not an MRI, because I was getting real antsy. But the point is, when you snap, why wait till you snap when you can get some help? When you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're depressed. I told you I had a coworker the other day, grown man, full grown man. I looked over at him, because I tell you all the time, teachers, you're in those big urban districts, you will feel like you're in a war zone.
Yeah, PTSD.
For real. And so he made it in the door, and he laid over on the wall. I said, you all right? And his eyes looked like he had just came through battle. He won, but barely. That's the way he looked. I said, you all right? He said, I'm going to be all right. I said, do I need to call somebody? Because, I can't pick people up. I'm just sorry. I'll dial a 911. I'll push the emergency button, which they hardly ever come when you push the emergency button. But that's all I can do for you. And he says, no, I'm going to make it. He made a few more steps, and he was leaning on the wall again. I said, we got 2 more days. He said, I don't know, Miss Watts. I don't know.
But you know what? I guess that's why they can give us so much time off, because they realize it is. But not so much just teachers. It's just life in general.
Life is too much.
We have so many
Life is
things.
too much. Yeah.
Never turned off. Life never turns off.
It's like a light
right.
switch that you never turn off.
You never turn it off.
And the human body was, God said He didn't build our body for stress. He said, cast all your cares on me because I care for you. Why is it we're not doing that?
Because we're trying to keep up. If you go to sleep, you might miss out.
But I don't know about y'all, but that's when God talks to me.
I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to sleep.
But
you know me.
When I know I'm not getting no 8 hours. But
I don't get 8 hours
I don't
anymore.
get up. But I'm saying, what is it that is so many things that are out there? Is it that we're trying to keep up with the Joneses? What are we doing?
I really believe we're just trying to keep up. I don't believe it's with the Joneses. We don't even have, I know myself and the people that I'm surrounded with, we don't even know where the end goal is. Can you imagine being what I call millennials, those 30-somethings, who is on all the time? Their social media is on, their Instagram's on, their jobs on, their phones on, all the time. And they're always trying to keep up, and you never seem as though you can keep up. And just when you think you've gotten to a point where you can keep up, more is added.
Because you're constantly downloading. You're constantly downloading all this stuff, and you download. But when do you download, when do you clean out the inbox?
They don't.
When do you clean out some of this stuff? And that's what I'm saying. It's like you steady putting all of this stuff on you. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to go here. Okay, no, I got to get this done. Okay. Stop the madness.
Well, this is a teacher thing, or is this just
no,
a life in general?
We're talking general.
But you got to take time out to decompress. I don't care what's going
on. I'm telling you, we have a generation of people that do not know how to decompress, that do not know how to just sit still. With me rather, I would do sewing or crochet or just sit and do nothing. I have a generation of people they don't even have they don't understand how to do creativity.
So what can we do to help?
What I'm thinking, what I've been doing with those that are around me is, we'll get to the mental health, what they're telling you to do. But if you recognize these signs in somebody, the first thing to do is tell the truth. We don't want to confront. We don't want to upset people. But first, bring it to their attention. Because maybe they don't even know.
Right.
Maybe they don't even know it. This is such a life that they've been living day in and day out, especially with my son. I have a handicapped grandson. So with him, I have to tell him, baby, breathe. There are sometimes I tell myself that, Sherry, you didn't even breathe. Because you breathe like, But taking a
Real
real
breath.
deep,
Yes.
cleansing breath, we very seldom do it. Who has time to breathe? Don't have time.
That's sad. That's
I
really
have time to
sad.
breathe.
That's
Because
sad.
if I breathe, do you realize what I
That's it.
could have been doing in those few seconds? So we have a generation of people that do not breathe. So that'd be the first thing they tell you to do. Second thing they do is tell you to acknowledge that you have too much. And if it's a chemical imbalance, there's
Go to the doctor.
you know I love 211. You can get it for free. Because we don't want people blowing up. We don't want people not only blowing up emotionally, we don't want you blowing up nothing, period.
No. Right.
But the point is, you got to have at least one good friend that's going
Yes.
to tell you, you're doing too much, slow down. You know
But
what?
okay, I can tell you that, but I can't make you listen.
You can't do it, but you
Right.
can actually tell me.
I can
tell
tell
me.
you-
And keep
yes.
telling me. And keep telling me. And keep telling me. Because I'm going to hear you. They're going to hear you. Just don't stop talking. Whatever you do.
I love that.
Don't
stop talking. Don't
because
stop
when
talking.
you stop talking, all the other stuff gets louder. At least you still got a voice, a reason.
Because if I keep talking, eventually something
gonna
I'm
hear
saying
you. I'm gonna
is
hear
going to
you.
get through and you're going to hear me. But the part about being the good friend, it's just, we have a tendency, we have to check on one another.
Right, and we don't.
We don't check on one
That's
another.
right. That's right.
I've
you know.
made it a point that I put on my schedule. I need to do better on other people. But, my mom, I made a point. Every Sunday before I go to sleep. Now, I won't do it a certain time because she'll expect me at a certain time. So I'm always mixing it up. I mix it up on purpose because there are times I forget.
Yeah.
But before I go to sleep on Sundays, I'm going to call and I'm going to just listen.
Yeah,
I'm going to listen.
yeah.
I know I'm here, but I'm going to listen because I want her to know that whatever's going on in her life is important.
Right.
It's absolutely important. Now, do I understand it? No. Can I fix it? Absolutely not.
But see, that's where the problem is. We want to fix it.
Can't fix
It's
it.
not my job to fix it. I just need to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, I just want to hear.
And it's okay unless you call me and you try, like the homeless people that are still calling you, you can't fix it.
Can't
But,
fix
you
it.
can't fix it. But we have a tendency, we try to do that. And my son tells me all the time, Mama, I just wanted to tell you, I don't need any help. Oh, okay, but that's the Denise trying to
Yeah.
fix it. Sometimes I just need you to listen.
Yep, that's me. Just listen. Because sometimes just down. Because my son comes home and I'm thinking, I just got home too. But I want to hear. I want to hear. Because see, I want to hear what he's not saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you're dealing with someone that you suspect is you're listening to what they're saying, but you're really listening to what they're not saying.
That's a good one.
What is the source of this? And they're not going to just say, the source of this is I'm about to get laid off. They're going to tell you that. They're going to tell you all the bad things at work, and you're going to figure, your
You know what I
position
just
is
heard
about
God
over.
say? We really don't want anybody to know our fears.
Do not. Men especially.
We don't want anybody to know. I'm really scared.
Right.
I'm really scared. This situation that I'm going through, I'm so scared. And we don't want to be vulnerable enough to tell somebody, this is scaring me.
Yeah.
And I really don't know how to handle this.
Right.
Because, well, what's wrong with you? Why And sometimes you just scared.
Yeah.
And you really don't, you lose a loved one. I really don't know what I'm going to do without that person. This is just too much for me to handle right now.
Right.
But if I tell you that, I'm afraid of what you're going to say.
What you going to think about me?
What you're going to think.
And that's sad because we don't have, people nowadays don't have time to listen to other people, and that's not good. I mean, you got to have someone to talk to when you're going through some things.
Right.
But it's few and far between that we get that. And so now we're walking around like ticking time bombs, and nobody understands why. And I hate to see children go through that. I think it's probably more prevalent with children than adults.
Because the reason it's so, I believe it's prevalent with kids, because kids don't have that mechanism like adults to hide it real well.
Right.
After a while, they're just going to explode, and they don't care where they explode.
Right.
They don't care how they explode. They don't care about the results of their
Exactly.
explosion. But they're going to explode. And when they do, then you're like, oh, that's why you've been
So
acting
that's
that
you're
way.
right.
You know
That's
what?
why you got that
I
done.
don't make New Year's resolutions, but when I think about it, to listen.
Right.
I
that's
need
me.
to just.
I did that years ago with my girls. I realized that I was at events, but I wasn't present. I wasn't present. I was sitting there, but somebody had to tell me my kid just did something because I wasn't present. So now I'm just present. I'll just sit there, and they'll say, I have no idea what this is, faith play basketball. done anything about it. Mass did volleyball. She even did the drill team, and I can't stand them those little bitty skirts. But I was present. I was present, shaking on the football field, because that's what I learned. Listening is being present. Because if you're present, then they'll start talking.
That's all it is. That's all counseling is somebody listening to you.
That's it. That's all that lady did was sat there and listen. Okay. And I solved it myself.
Well, ladies, I hope that I got a lot out of that, and I hope our listening audience understand some of these things that may be going through. It doesn't hurt to listen to someone.
Just listen.
That's all you got to do is just listen. Even if you can't solve it, it's nice to have somebody to just listen to you. So.
And before you go, I forgot to mention this part. If you know someone or you yourself are struggling with mental health disorder, we're going to put some numbers on our screen for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the Crisis Text Lifeline, where you can text that I'm having issues, substance abuse and mental health services, and also we'll put on you'll see the National Alliance of Mental Illness Helpline. There is help, and I love it the way that we can get a text. Send a text. If you can't find someone to talk to immediately, if you need to talk to someone or you know someone that needs to, call these numbers, reach out. After listening, do something.
Right, and don't worry about putting your kids on Ritalin and all that kind of stuff. That's not the answer. But anyway, we thank you for listening.
Ramona, sometimes it is.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's what they
sometimes
say.
It is.
When you listen to look at the statistics, is when they get older, they have more issues.
Show.
That's another show. Anyway, we hope that you tune in with us on social media. Reach out to us and tell us what you think.
Thank you.
And we hope that you've learned something from this subject. We'll look forward to seeing you next time, or you seeing us next time. Have a blessed day.